The massive crystalline dome of the Galactic Council chamber sparkled under the light of 3 suns. Inside, representatives from 200 species sat in rising circular tiers, their attention fixed on the heated exchange taking place on the speaking floor. Ambassador Tom Wilson stood calmly at the central podium, his plain black uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate robes and bioluminescent displays worn by other species. His gray hair and weathered face showed signs of a long diplomatic career, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. The human expansion into the Orion sector violates no treaties, he stated firmly. We have followed every regulation and submitted all required documentation. High Counselor Blueshield, a towering being with iridescent scales, leaned forward from his elevated position. The pace of human colonization exceeds all projected models. Your military buildup in the sector raises serious concerns. Our military presence is purely defensive, Wilson replied. We have the right to protect our colonies. A ripple of disagreement moved through the chamber. Various species clicked, hummed, and flashed colors in their native forms of communication. The translation systems struggled to keep up with the overlapping voices. The humans hide things, came a voice from the upper tiers. Ambassador Greenleaf, a plant-based intelligence, extended its sensory vines. Their ships carry more power cores than needed. Their colonies have underground levels they refuse to show. They speak of peace while preparing for war. Wilson's jaw tightened slightly. After 15 years as humanity's representative, he had grown tired of the constant suspicion and accusations. The Council had accepted humans as members, but never as equals. We have complied with every inspection, he said, but we will not compromise our sovereign right to develop our territories as we see fit. High Counselor Blueshield's scales shifted to a deep purple of warning. The Council has voted. New restrictions will be placed on human expansion. Your military vessels will submit to regular inspections. Your colony development will require Council approval. Wilson stood silent for a long moment. In his earpiece, he could hear the encrypted channel to Earth Command. The President's voice was clear. We knew this day would come. Proceed with Protocol Omega. Looking up at the assembled representatives, Wilson squared his shoulders. Humanity rejects these restrictions. They violate the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Council Charter to all member species. You dare to refuse a Council directive. Blueshield's voice boomed through the chamber. We do more than refuse, Wilson said quietly. As of this moment, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some species released shock pheromones, others displayed threat colors. The plant-based delegates pulled their sensory vines close in defensive postures. You cannot withdraw. Blueshield thundered. The consequences. The consequences were determined long ago, Wilson interrupted. Not by us, but by this Council's persistent distrust and attempts to contain humanity's growth. We tried to be good partners. You chose to see us as threats. He removed his Council insignia and placed it on the podium. Humanity will continue to trade with peaceful species. We will honor existing treaties, but we will no longer submit to the Council's authority. As Wilson turned to leave, Blueshield called out, This is a grave mistake. The Council's combined might should think very carefully about its next actions, Wilson said without turning back. He walked steadily toward the exit as voices shouted behind him. In orbit above the Council world, 12 human ships powered up their engines. They had appeared to be standard diplomatic vessels. Now their outer hulls shifted, revealing advanced weapon systems that no other species had seen before. The ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving behind a stunned Council security fleet. Across human space, hidden preparations that had been years in the making began to activate. Humanity had hoped for true partnership with the galactic community. The Council had chosen fear instead. Now they would learn what they should truly have feared, not humanity's weapons or expansion, but the consequences of forcing humanity to stand alone. The galaxy was about to change forever, and in the Council chamber, as the chaos continued, A few older and wiser beings began to realize that perhaps their greatest mistake had been repeatedly trying to cage a species that had never shown its full strength. Deep within the Rocky Mountains on Earth, General Mark Anderson stood in a command center that officially didn't exist. Massive screens covered the walls, showing real-time data from across human space. Red dots marked Council observation posts. Blue dots showed human military assets. Green highlighted industrial centers. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. "Activate all hidden facilities." Across 50 colonial worlds, the ground began to move. Vast sections of terrain that appeared natural on scanners split open, revealing massive shipyards and manufacturing centers that had been operating in secret for years. Mountains turned out to be hollow. Peaceful mining operations transformed into military production facilities. On Mars, the scientific research station in Valles Marineris revealed its true nature. The 100-mile-long canyon facility had never been about research. Massive doors opened in the cliff walls, and warships that had been built in secret began to emerge. "Sir," Lieutenant Roberts reported, "Council long-range scanners are detecting the activity. Their ships are moving to investigate." Anderson nodded. "Let them look. It's time they saw a fraction of what we can do." In the Orient sector, Council observation posts reported unusual energy readings from human colonies. Their sensors, calibrated to detect known human power signatures, were overwhelmed by the true output now being revealed. On New Terra, colonists watched calmly as hidden defense platforms rose from the ocean floors. Children pointed excitedly as massive gun batteries emerged from mountain ranges. This was what their parents had prepared them for. Council diplomatic channels are lighting up, Communications Officer Davis announced. "They're demanding explanations." "Send no response," Anderson ordered. "Let them wonder." In orbit around Jupiter, the gas mining stations showed their true purpose. Enormous construction facilities powered up, revealing ship assembly lines that stretched for kilometers. Workers who had pretended to be simple gas miners took their real positions at weapon manufacturing stations. The Council's military analysts were panicking. Their models had estimated human industrial capacity at perhaps 1/10 of what was now becoming visible. And these were just the facilities humans were allowing to be seen. "Sir," Roberts said, "Council ships are approaching the Orion colonies." Anderson watched the tactical display. "Activate the defense grids." Standard warning protocols. When the Council vessels approached, they found their sensors blocked by technology they'd never encountered. Attempts to penetrate the defensive screens failed. Their most advanced scanning equipment couldn't make sense of the energy signatures they detected. In underground bases across human space, soldiers who had trained in secret moved to their posts. Weapons that had never been revealed were brought online. Communication systems that the Council didn't know existed began coordinating humanity's response. "They're retreating," Roberts reported with a slight smile. "Their ships are falling back to Council space." Anderson nodded. The Council was finally beginning to understand. They had watched humans carefully, thinking they saw everything. They had never realized that what they observed was just the surface, a careful show maintained to keep them comfortable. "Sir," Davis called out, "we're detecting Council emergency meetings being called. Their military forces are being mobilized." "Let them come," Anderson said quietly. "Every move they make now follows scenarios we've planned for. Every response they try has been anticipated." He looked at the massive display showing human space. More and more blue dots were appearing as hidden facilities revealed themselves. Soon the Council would realize that humanity's published military strength had been a carefully crafted illusion. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Proceed with scheduled revelations. Maintain defensive postures only. Let them see our strength, but take no aggressive action." Across human space, the greatest military revelation in galactic history continued to unfold. The Council had thought they were containing a potential threat. Now they would learn they had been watching a shadow play, while real human power grew beyond their imagination. And this was still just the beginning. Anderson looked at the classified readouts showing humanity's true military and industrial capacity. The Council hadn't even begun to understand what they had pushed humanity to prepare for. The Council warfleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Orion sector. 500 ships, the combined might of 3 aggressive Council species, arranged themselves in attack formation. Their commanders had convinced the Council that humanity needed to be taught a lesson before they grew too powerful. Admiral Stone watched them from the bridge of an apparently unarmed human research station. "Right on schedule," he said quietly. "Exactly where we predicted they'd appear." The Council fleet's commander, Supreme War Leader Thunderstorm, transmitted his message across all frequencies. "Humans, you have revealed military assets that violate Council regulations. Submit to our authority or face immediate consequences." Stone made no reply. He simply watched his tactical display as the Council ships moved closer. They were following the exact attack pattern that human analysts had predicted months ago. "Their weapons are charging," reported his tactical officer. "Multiple targeting locks detected." Stone nodded calmly. "Activate the defense grid." When the Council fleet opened fire, their energy weapons and projectiles met an invisible wall 3 million kilometers from the nearest human installation. Their attacks simply vanished, absorbed by defensive fields that weren't supposed to be possible. Impossible. Thunderstorm raged as his sensors showed 0 damage to any human targets. "Their shields cannot be this strong." Fire again. The second barrage had the same result. So did the third. The Council fleet's most powerful weapons couldn't penetrate the defensive screen that protected human space. "Sir," Stone's tactical officer reported, "they're launching their new quantum torpedoes." "Right on schedule again," Stone said. "Initiate Protocol 7. As the Council's supposedly unstoppable weapons approached, small devices activated throughout the defensive zone. The quantum torpedoes simply ceased to exist, their exotic particles neutralized by countermeasures humanity had developed years ago. On his flagship, Thunderstorm received increasingly panicked reports. Nothing was working. Their most advanced weapons were useless, and now their sensors were detecting massive energy buildups throughout human space. "Should we return fire, sir?" Stone's weapons officer asked. "No need," Stone replied. "Let's show them something else instead." Across the defensive zone, hidden platforms activated. They didn't fire weapons. Instead, they projected holograms, images of human battle fleets that dwarfed the Council force. The ships weren't real, but the Council had no way to know that. Multiple human fleets detected. Thunderstorm's sensors officer screamed. Thousands of ships. Energy readings off the scale. Stone finally opened a channel to the Council fleet. "This is Admiral Stone of the Human Defense Force. Your attack has been contained. We have not yet returned fire. Consider your next action carefully." The Council ships began to retreat, their tight formation breaking apart in barely controlled panic. Their sensors were overwhelmed by the human defensive systems, unable to tell what was real and what wasn't. "Sir," Stone's tactical officer reported with a slight smile, "they're running." "Let them go," Stone ordered. "They've seen exactly what we wanted them to see." The Council fleet flowed into hyperspace, leaving behind probe drones to monitor the situation. The drones would report everything to the Council, showing them exactly how outmatched their forces had been. What the drones couldn't see, were the real human defenses. The systems that had stopped the Council attack were just the outer layer, the capabilities humanity was ready to reveal. The true defensive grid remained hidden, ready for any real threat. Stone sent a brief message to Earth Command. Phase 3 complete. Enemy forces responded exactly as predicted. All systems performed to specifications. No casualties. He looked out at the seemingly empty space where the Council fleet had been. They had come expecting to find a weakling that needed to be disciplined. They had fled from a power they couldn't hope to match. And still, they didn't know the truth. The defense grid that had humbled their fleet was a fraction of humanity's true strength. The holograms they'd run from were nothing compared to the real fleets hidden throughout human space. The Council had tried to teach humanity a lesson. Instead, they had learned one themselves. And this was just the beginning of their education. Director James Walker stood in the command center of Installation Zero, humanity's most closely guarded secret. 100 kilometers beneath Europa's ice, this facility had never appeared on any report to the Council. Even most humans didn't know it existed. "Begin full activation sequence," he ordered. "It's time to show them everything." Across the solar system, massive structures began to emerge from carefully maintained hiding places. The rings of Saturn shifted, revealing shipyards that stretched for thousands of kilometers. The asteroid belt came alive as hidden factories powered up, showing their true nature. "All facilities reporting ready," his assistant confirmed. "The Council's observation satellites are going crazy trying to track everything." Inside Mercury's hollow core, antimatter production facilities that had been operating in secret for decades revealed themselves. The energy output alone was greater than some Council species' entire civilizations. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving panic signals from Council space. Their long-range sensors are detecting our power signatures." Walker nodded. "Let them see. It's time they understood what they've been trying to fight." On Mars, entire mountain ranges transformed. What appeared to be natural formations broke apart, revealing city-sized manufacturing complexes. Weapons platforms that had been disguised as ordinary rocks showed their true forms. In the Kuiper Belt, stealth fields dropped around massive research stations. The Council had always wondered how humans advanced so quickly. Now they would see the scale of human scientific endeavors. "Council emergency broadcasts are going out," the communications officer reported. They're trying to calculate our industrial capacity. Their computers keep crashing from the data overload." Hidden facilities in the Oort cloud activated, showing the true extent of human space. The Council had thought they knew where human territory ended. They had been wrong by billions of kilometers. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "we're detecting Council ships approaching the outer system. They appear to be observation vessels only." "Let them observe," Walker ordered. "Show them everything in the approved sequence." The Council ships watched in stunned silence as humanity's hidden empire revealed itself. Their sensors recorded facilities that shouldn't have been possible, technology that violated what they thought were the laws of physics. Beneath the surface of Venus, cooling systems activated to reveal sprawling computer complexes. The hostile planet's environment had provided the perfect cover for humanity's most advanced AI research facilities. "Council diplomatic channels are going wild," the communications officer said. "They're demanding to know how we hid all this." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "They still don't understand. We didn't hide it. They saw exactly what they expected to see. A younger species struggling to reach their level. Their own assumptions did our work for us." In Jupiter's atmosphere, massive collection systems emerged from the cloud layers. The gas giant had never been just a fuel source. It was the power center for humanity's most advanced energy production. The Council observation ships continued their scans, their crews growing more desperate as each new revelation showed how completely they had underestimated human capabilities. Their reports back to Council space became increasingly panicked. "Sir," his assistant reported, "all planned revelations are complete. Shall we show them the rest?" Walker shook his head. "No, let them think this is everything. They need time to process what they've seen already." He looked at the classified displays showing humanity's true capabilities. What they had revealed today was impressive enough to shock the Council. But it was still only a fraction of what humanity had built in secret. The Council had thought they were dealing with a young, developing species that needed to be controlled. Now they were beginning to understand that they had never seen the real face of human power. "Send word to all commands," Walker ordered. "Maintain current revelation status. Let them wonder what else they might have missed." Across the solar system, humanity's hidden empire stood revealed but not fully exposed. The Council would need time to comprehend what they had seen today. They weren't ready to learn how much more remained concealed. Commander Emily Drake stood on the bridge of the HMS Inevitable, watching as her fleet moved into position. After weeks of revealing hidden facilities, humanity was ready to demonstrate exactly what those facilities had been producing. "All ships report ready," her tactical officer announced. "The Council observation fleet is maintaining their distance. Begin the demonstration," Drake ordered. "Show them what human engineering can really do." The first wave of ships activated their new drive systems. Vessels that the Council had dismissed as primitive transports suddenly accelerated to speeds that should have been impossible, their hulls glowing with exotic energy fields. "Council ships are attempting to track our movements," communications reported. "Their sensors can't keep up." Drake nodded. "Launch the drones." From the fleet's carriers, swarms of automated craft emerged. Unlike the crude robots the Council knew about, these machines moved with perfect coordination, their artificial intelligence far beyond anything humanity had admitted to possessing. "Council commanders are requesting information about our capabilities," communications said. They're growing concerned. "Now for the main event," Drake ordered. "Power up the Genesis array." At her command, massive devices activated throughout the fleet. Space itself seemed to ripple as technology the Council had thought impossible came to life. In seconds, her ships created a small artificial star, contained it, and then safely dissipated it. By the void came a Council transmission. "How are they doing this?" Drake allowed herself a small smile. The Council was finally beginning to understand. Every piece of technology they were seeing violated what they had believed about humanity's capabilities. "Deploy the phase shields," she ordered. Her fleet shimmered and seemed to partially vanish, existing in multiple dimensions at once. Council sensors went completely blind, unable to process what they were seeing. Their most advanced scanning equipment simply shut down, overwhelmed by the impossible readings. "Council vessels are backing away," Tactical reported. "They appear to be calling for reinforcements." "Let them," Drake said. "Time for the next demonstration." At her command, her ships began using technology that the Council had specifically banned, not because it was dangerous, but because they had never managed to make it work. Gravity control, space folding, temporal manipulation. Humans had mastered it all in secret. "Council reinforcements arriving," Tactical announced. 3 battle fleets. "No, they're stopping at the edge of the system. They're not approaching." Drake nodded. The Council forces had finally realized the truth. They weren't here to fight. They were here to witness what humanity could really do. "Final demonstration," she ordered. "Show them the gate." Her fleet moved in perfect formation, their advanced systems working in harmony. In the space between them, reality itself began to twist. A massive portal opened, a stable wormhole, something the Council had declared physically impossible. "Council communications have gone silent," her officer reported. "I think we broke them." The demonstration continued for another hour. Each new revelation showed the Council exactly what they had tried to contain. Every piece of technology they saw represented decades of secret human advancement. "Commander," communications called out, "we're receiving a priority message from Council space. They're requesting emergency diplomatic talks." Drake smiled. The Council had thought their restrictions would keep humanity weak. Instead, they had forced humans to develop in secret, to advance beyond what anyone thought possible. "Send our response," she ordered. "Tell them we'll be happy to discuss new diplomatic arrangements after they've had time to fully appreciate what they've seen today." Her fleet moved into its final formation, a display of precision and power that left no doubt about humanity's true capabilities. The Council ships watched in silence, their earlier arrogance replaced by the dawning realization of their mistake. They had tried to keep humanity contained, thinking they were protecting themselves. Now they would learn that their actions had created exactly what they feared, a human civilization far more advanced and powerful than they could have imagined. And still, they hadn't seen everything. Drake looked at her classified displays, showing capabilities that would remain hidden. Today's demonstration was impressive enough. Some secrets would stay secret, ready if they were ever truly needed. In the temporary diplomatic center on Luna, Ambassador Robert Hayes watched representatives from 30 council species fidget uncomfortably in their seats. Just 2 months ago, they had been demanding human submission. Now they waited nervously for humans to acknowledge them. The council recognizes its previous errors in judgment, the High Speaker said, his translator struggling to keep the fear out of his voice. We seek to establish new diplomatic relations with humanity. Hayes let the silence stretch for a moment. Around the room, holographic displays showed real-time data about human space, industrial output, military strength, technological advancement. Each number was carefully chosen to make a point. You didn't just make errors in judgment, Hayes finally said. You tried to strangle our development. You attempted to keep humanity confined and controlled. Why should we trust you now? The council representatives looked at each other nervously. Through the dome above them, Earth hung in the black sky, a silent reminder of human power. We offer trade agreements, another representative said quickly. Exclusive mining rights in disputed territories. Access to our technological databases. Hayes touched a control on his desk. New holographs appeared, showing human trading networks that had operated in secret for years. The council members stared in shock as they realized how deeply human economic influence had already penetrated their space. We don't need mining rights, Hayes said calmly. Our automated systems already extract resources more efficiently than any council technology. As for your databases, our science surpassed them years ago. Then what do you want? The High Speaker asked, his composure finally cracking. Hayes leaned forward. We want what we always wanted, peaceful coexistence. But this time, as equals. No restrictions, no controls, no attempts to limit human development. The displays changed again, showing the routes of human merchant ships throughout the galaxy. Trade lines that had been hidden were now revealed. Economic connections that no one had suspected became clear. Your economies depend on human trade more than you knew, Hayes explained. Those mysterious merchant ships that always seemed to have exactly what you needed. The trading companies that offered the best prices. Many of them were human-owned, operating through shell corporations. The council representatives looked stricken. They were finally understanding the true scope of human influence. Our corporations practically built the infrastructure of a dozen council worlds, Hayes continued. Your fastest transport routes use human-designed hyperspace lanes. Your most efficient energy systems were developed using human principles, even though you didn't know their origin. What are your terms? The High Speaker asked quietly. Hayes transmitted a document to their devices. A new diplomatic framework. Equal representation. No restrictions on technological development by any species. Open trade. Mutual defense agreements. The council members read quickly, their expressions showing surprise at the reasonableness of the terms. They had expected demands for submission. Instead, they found a genuine offer of partnership. You're not demanding control of the council, one asked in confusion. We don't want to rule, Hayes explained. We never did. We want cooperation, not dominance. But we will never again accept attempts to limit human potential. Slowly, the representatives began to relax. The terms were fair, more than fair, considering humanity's revealed power. They had feared revenge. Instead, they were being offered a fresh start. There will be those who resist, the High Speaker warned. Some species will see this as human aggression. Hayes nodded. They're free to maintain that view. They're also free to stop using human-developed technologies, human-established trade routes, and human-supplied resources. We'll see how long their economies last. The message was clear. Humanity's revealed power wasn't just military. It was economic, technological, and industrial. The galaxy had already been reshaped by human influence. They just hadn't known it. "We accept these terms," the High Speaker said formally. "The Council will ratify them immediately." Hayes smiled. "Then let's begin building something new, together this time, as true equals." The Council members nodded, finally understanding that humanity had never wanted war or dominance. They had wanted exactly what they were now offering: real partnership, based on mutual respect, rather than fear and control. 1 year after humanity's dramatic revelation of power, President John Miller stood at a podium in the new Galactic Assembly. The massive chamber, built using a blend of human and alien architecture, represented the new era of cooperation. "When we left the Council," he began, "many expected us to establish dominance over the galaxy. They thought we would use our revealed strength to control or punish those who had tried to contain us." Representatives from hundreds of species listened intently. The fear that had marked early post-revelation meetings had been replaced by cautious respect. Instead, Miller continued, "We chose a different path. In the past year, human technology has been shared, not hoarded. Our advanced medical facilities have treated patients from every species. Our manufacturing capabilities have helped rebuild struggling economies." Holographic displays around the chamber showed the results: new joint research projects, combined fleet exercises, thriving trade routes. Species that had once feared human advancement now worked alongside human scientists and engineers. "The old Council sought to prevent change," Miller said. "They feared the unknown. But look at what we've achieved together in just 1 year when we embraced progress instead of fearing it." He gestured to the latest collaborative achievements: ships combining human and alien technology, medical breakthroughs using shared knowledge, scientific discoveries made possible by cooperation. "Some asked why we revealed our true strength," Miller continued. "Why show what we had hidden for so long? The answer is simple. We were tired of pretending to be less than we were. Tired of watching good ideas die because they might upset the status quo." In the audience, former Council leaders nodded. They had learned that human innovation, freely shared, lifted all species. Their fears of human dominance had proved unfounded. "Today, we mark not just the anniversary of our revelation, but the beginning of real partnership," Miller said. "Every species here has contributed to our shared progress. Every world has benefited from open cooperation." The displays showed new joint colonies, shared research stations, combined defense fleets. The galaxy had changed not through conquest, but through collaboration. "We kept our power hidden because we had to," Miller explained. "We reveal it now not to threaten, but to show what's possible when we stop limiting each other's potential." A hush fell over the chamber as he addressed the lingering question: why humanity had built such strength in secret. "We didn't develop our capabilities to dominate," he said firmly. "We did it because humanity has always pushed boundaries, always sought to understand more, build more, achieve more. We hid that drive because we had to. Now we can finally be ourselves." The newest joint projects appeared on the displays. Massive engineering works that would have been impossible a year ago. Scientific endeavors that crossed the boundaries of known physics. Medical advances that were extending lives across all species. "This is humanity's true power," Miller declared. "Not our hidden fleets or secret technology. Our real strength lies in our drive to explore, to innovate, to push beyond what seems possible. And now, finally, we can share that drive openly with all of you." The chamber erupted in approval. Species that had once feared human potential now celebrated it. The galaxy had learned that human power wasn't a threat. It was an opportunity. "Let the coming years show what we can achieve together," Miller concluded. "Not as rulers and subjects, not as advanced and primitive, but as true partners in the greatest adventure any of us will ever know, discovering what's possible when we work as one." As the assembly rose in standing ovation, Miller looked out at the changed galaxy. Humanity had revealed its strength not to dominate, but to free everyone, including themselves, from the fears and restrictions of the past. The galaxy had learned who held the real power, but more importantly, they had learned what that power was for, not conquest or control, but progress and possibility for all. The future they were building together would be greater than anything any species could have achieved alone. That was humanity's greatest revelation, not the power they had hidden, but what they chose to do with it once it was revealed.